His commitment to service above self was evident during his formative years as he prepared himself for admission to and graduation from the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado. He's the personification of the values espoused by Dr. King. Rodney Bullard distinguished himself as a scholar with his matriculation at the Duke University School of Law and the University of Georgia's Terry School of Business. Attorney Bullard represents the best and the brightest our great nation has to offer. He is a White House Fellow, and that is the nation's most prestigious public service fellowship. As a White House Fellow, he served at NASA, where he was directly accountable to the agency's chief executive administrator. He has served as an assistant United States attorney for the Northern District of Georgia. In that capacity, he prosecuted complex criminal cases and was recognized in 2010 for superior performance and also received the Department of Justice Director's Award from the United States Attorney General. As a decorated veteran, Attorney Bullard also served in the United States Air Force Judge Advocates General's Corps, where he served at the Pentagon as a congressional legislative liaison to none other than the Secretary of the United States Air Force. Rodney is a trustee of the venerable Air Force Academy Falcon Foundation and a board member of the University of Georgia's Terry School of Business. He was also recognized by Georgia Trend magazine for his accomplishments, as well as one of the 10 outstanding young leaders in Atlanta for 2010. Currently, Rodney Bullard is the executive director of the Chick-fil-A Foundation, where he leads the company's corporate, philanthropic, and social responsibility strategy. Please join me in welcoming a true patriot, scholar, humanitarian, and a national treasure, Attorney Rodney D. Bullard.
Hill, thank you for that introduction. I know sometimes it's a mouthful. That's why I'm so muted when I'm asked a question, because God is good and He's blessed me. I'd like to first thank Madam Mayor for her leadership, for her venerable leadership here in Sandy Springs, so I appreciate the invitation. I also like to thank other distinguished guests, and I'd be very remiss and also will be in trouble if I did not also recognize my beautiful wife and my childhood sweetheart, Sylvette Bullard. And also my right hand, who traveled out here from the Chick-fil-A Foundation, Melanie Flavor, and I appreciate both of you all very much. The day was August 28th, 1963. And over 200,000 men, women, and children, people of all races, ages, and careers, marched on Washington, D.C., amassed and gathered on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial to formally seek jobs and freedom, and to hear a young preacher from Atlanta, Georgia, named Dr. Martin Luther King. At the time, 100 years had passed since Abraham Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation. In the United States, despite her enormous military, political, and intellectual gifts, had not yet reached the full measure of her promise. You see, the months leading up to this afternoon in August had been trying and tumultuous indeed. That April of 1963, after leading hundreds of peaceful protests, Dr. King was jailed And while in solitary confinement, he penned his now famous letter from a Birmingham jail. On June 12, 1963, the movement and Dr. King suffered the profound loss of one of their finest officers and closest friends, Medgar Evers, cut down by an assailant's bullet at the age of 37. But despite these hardships, on August 28, 1963, hundreds of thousands gathered. And Dr. King told the world that I still have a dream. He said, I have a dream that my 4 little children would one day live in a nation where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And when he said those words, despite the circumstances, despite the hardship and the vicious division, the nation, the world, listen. And the days of Jim Crow segregation were numbered. Fast forward to 2013, and much has changed. No longer do we face government-sanctioned bigotry. No longer do we elevate community-approved segregation. No longer do we sanction the use of a furious fire hose to separate peaceful protesters. Yet I appeal to you. I appeal that as a nation, as a community, as a collective people, we still have not reached the mountaintop of our promise. Because in 2013, despite our military, political, and intellectual gifts, too many of our families, too many of our children still suffer from the soft bigotry of low expectations, the faint bigotry of the acceptance of status quo, and the blind bigotry of inattention and apathy. I would be remiss if I did not note that the city of Sandy Springs has some of the top-ranked schools in the state, if not the nation, a fact which should be commended, duplicated, and celebrated. However, overall, in the state of Georgia, barely 67% of our children graduate from high school. In the Atlanta public school systems, almost half of our children fail to graduate from high school. And in some of our most impoverished communities, like the neighborhoods across from the Georgia Dome, almost half of our children fail to graduate from middle school. Moreover, as we gather, our home state ranks 3rd from the bottom nationally in graduation rates, ranks 48th nationally in SAT rates. All the while, the size of our prison population in the state of Georgia ranks 4th in the nation. And metropolitan Atlanta leads the nation in child sex trafficking. You see, some have said that we cannot expect better results in communities suffering from rampant numbers of broken homes, a lack of positive role models, and distractions and detractors on every corner. However, it is for these reasons that I suggest that if we are to live out the full measure of our creed, then we must intentionally close our eyes to our old ways of thinking. Close our eyes to the status quo. Close our eyes to low expectations. And when we close our eyes, we must dare to dream again. Dare to dream beyond race. And dare to dream beyond stereotype. Dare to dream that a child born into poverty is as capable as a child born into privilege. Dare to dream that a family who struggles in the ghetto, in the hood, in the wreckages of our city is not damaged and not doomed to that existence. And more important, their children are not damaged and not doomed to that existence or a dim future. We must close our eyes to all manner of perceived hurdles and dream again. I believe this. I believe this because I have seen that dreams can come true. I have seen them come true for those who, by their circumstances, should not be dreaming of better days. Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, is one such example. As a child, he was impoverished, not a great student, not a great athlete. However, Truett learned at an early age that business does not care how you start, but only how you finish. I also learned that we can dream again from a young man who interned with us last summer, a young man named Rodney Walker. Walker, the son of drug-addicted parents, the brother of drug-addicted siblings, and the ward of abusive foster parents, was on the verge of failing school. But during his senior year in high school, he benefited from the generosity of a teacher who saw past his circumstances and saw his abilities. Someone like Mr. Felix Laura. And as a result of this teacher's intervention, as a result of this teacher's ability to dream for Rodney, Rodney graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Morehouse College and is currently on a full scholarship at Yale Business School. Still, as much as I hope we dare to dream new and bigger dreams, I also know that dreaming is merely an activity bordering on slothfulness if we do not also dare to act and dare to lead. I'm proud to be a part of an organization like Chick-fil-A and the Chick-fil-A Foundation, because along with other companies such as Delta and SunTrust, we are daring to lead by developing a 50,000 square foot facility called the Discovery Center. The Discovery Center, located in the Georgia World Congress Center, will be dedicated to teaching financial literacy and will teach over 30,000 students in Fulton, DeKalb, and Atlanta that business, when properly used, is empowering, and finances, when properly managed, are freedom. But leadership is not merely a corporate or even merely a political responsibility. No, we all can dare to lead. Dare to lead by being involved. Dare to lead by tutoring. Dare to lead by encouraging someone else. Dare to lead by showing up. Dare to lead by being a positive example. I know that we each have our own private struggles. But as Dr. King said, we are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Therefore, we all have a reasonable obligation, individually and collectively, to address the ills of our society head on. And if we dare to help the hopeless, dare to lift the uninspired, dare to minister to the dispirited soul, And if we decide that it is more important who you are than what you have, then as Dr. King said, we will be able to work together, pray together, to struggle together, to stand up for freedom together. And this will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing." And on this day, all of our children and all of our families will be positioned to live life and live it more abundantly. May God bless you, and may God bless our future. Thank you.